evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Tonight, CBC has uncovered details that show a relationship between the health unit in Chatham-Kent and a clinic with anti-abortion ties. Plus, as we've been telling you, small businesses are struggling to make ends meet. A local food delivery service is also throwing in the towel. Pharmacists can soon start prescribing Paxlovid in Ontario. The health minister says it could help ease the burden on hospitals. And it's not okay when you say. A local group has launched a new video series focused on microaggressions. We begin tonight with the health unit in Chatham-Kent and its connections to a private center founded by an anti-abortion group. CBC News has learned CK Public Health nurses were stationed inside Refuge before the pandemic, providing breastfeeding support, and Refuge was listed as a resource for women in need and those with unplanned pregnancies. The CBC's Jason Vio brings us the story.
Driving down the side roads of Chatham-Kent just outside of Dresden, it's hard to miss this billboard. The anti-abortion sentiments are clear. There's a website on it for an organization called Life in Motion. On that website, it says donations are directed to the Refuge Pregnancy Center. Refuge was founded by a group called Right to Life Kent.
The problem is that it seems like there's some degree of deception, that it seems to be a referral to an agency that is going to provide some sort of unbiased information when that's not the case.
Candace Johnson researches issues related to abortion, reproductive rights, and justice. She says the connection is outrageous and the public should be alarmed. It also doesn't sit well with Carolyn Martin. She's been a registered nurse at CK Public Health for 20 years. Now she works with pregnant women and new moms, but most of her time over those years has been spent with teens, some of them pregnant and looking for options.
What's saddest about it is it's the kid who just doesn't have an adult to say, here's all your real options. What do you want? And I will help you with anything.
There isn't a place in Chatham-Kent to get a medical abortion if that's the option they choose. The nearest city for that is at least about an hour away. And when CK Public Health lists Refuge on its website as a resource for women with an unplanned pregnancy, they fail to mention the anti-abortion connection. That link was removed last week, one day after CBC News began asking questions. The health unit also stationed its nurses at Refuge and sent women there for breastfeeding services. Martin says there was always space within CK Public Health for those programs. That hasn't been happening since the start of COVID, when nurses were redeployed to help with the pandemic.
I'm going to fight this because this is a very dangerous affiliation. It just made me mad. And I just kept thinking, there's other ways to get this story out. And obviously my employer in the municipality think it's fine to be working there, but outside of Chatham-Kent, there will be other people who will know that this is wrong.
In an emailed statement, CK Public Health says they do not endorse all messaging put out by Refuge Chatham-Kent, nor do we have a shared mission or vision. The website for Refuge says its mission is to provide free pregnancy support for women and families. What it doesn't mention is its Director of Client Care's views of abortion. BJ Kivel says she personally takes a pro-life stance. She declined to be recorded, but tells CBC News, our organization, Right to Life, we are pro-life. When people come here to Refuge for support and help, we're not taking a stance on anything. We're just giving them information and they're able to make an informed decision. We're not doing a bait and switch here, she says. Martin says she filed a complaint about CK Public Health's connection to Refuge with the College of Nurses of Ontario. A spokesperson couldn't confirm whether any specific complaint was received or comment on the status of any possible investigation. Speaking out has been hard for Martin, who says she's been bullied and harassed at work. At one point, she says she was forced to complete training about bird dropping removal, how to use a jackhammer, and digging trenches.
Every demeaning thing that they could make me do, they tried to do.
Still, Martin says it's been worth it.
Who's going to stand up for the kids that are going to Refuge unknowingly?
And the CBC's Jason Vio joins us live now to talk about the reaction to the story. So Jason, what are you hearing out of Chatham-Kent today?
Well, Kat, I spoke with Brock McGregor, who I've been told is the point person, the spokesperson for this particular issue. He's a Chatham-Kent councillor, acting chair on the Board of Health there that provides governance, and is a naturopath in Chatham-Kent. McGregor wouldn't say if he's concerned by this affiliation, nor would he say if anything would change because of this coming to light. Right now, he says the health unit refers or directs people to Refuge to access low-cost or free diapers and clothing. He also wasn't very familiar with the document CK Public Health took down, which referenced women with unplanned pregnancies to Refuge. Have a listen to a bit of our exchange. It doesn't mention its connection to anti-abortion views. Don't you think that women should know where they're going before they go there? Some say this is deceptive. Would you agree?
I can understand. I'm aware there's a number of different organizations in Chatham-Kent that provide services. There are a number of organizations that have connection to some of those other organizations within Chatham-Kent that have a interest in the politics around abortion. Understanding it's a small community, there are individuals that serve in multiple capacities. So I think what's really important from a public health perspective is that individuals who are expectant or thinking about pregnancy or currently pregnant are approaching public health.
Now, he isn't the only person I reached out to on this. I tried to talk to Chatham-Kent Mayor Darren Kenneth as head of the municipality that primarily funds the health unit. He didn't respond. I also reached out to the Minister of Health for reaction and the Ministry of Health. I also didn't hear back. There are 17 councillors in Chatham-Kent. I called several of them. Some said they didn't want to comment on this at all, and others say they were told to refer all inquiries to the municipality. McGregor, though, says he's asked this issue be brought up at the next public health meeting, and that's on December 21st. Kat.
Thanks for bringing us this story, Jason. CBC's Jason Vio live in studio tonight. It is the end for local food delivery service Jubsy. Founded by a Windsor restaurant owner, the company prided itself on giving back to the community. CBC's Jennifer Lagrassa reports.
A food delivery app that donated a portion of sales to local organizations in need. It's what Jubsy was built on. But in a Facebook post, founder Thanos Sakantis says the app has had its final days.
I got some terrible news that I got to share with you. Unfortunately, we had to stop Jubsy.
Challenges finding drivers due to high gas prices is what led to Jubsy's demise, according to Sakantis' social media post. A Jubsy driver previously told CBC News that they didn't make minimum wage, but were paid for each order they delivered. Part of what made the app unique is that it charged restaurants 5% to use it and then gave that money to local organizations. Over the last 2 years, orders from customers led to $200,000 worth of donations to community organizations like the Downtown Mission, the Hospice of Windsor-Essex, and Learning Disabilities Association of Windsor-Essex. Dozens of local food businesses were on the app, including Chicho's Sandwich Shop. The owners, who are friends with Sakantis, say it was helpful during the pandemic.
Jubsy was there when people, were not able to come to the restaurant.
Majeli Galevsky says apps like Uber Eats and Skip the Dishes make about 20 to 30% of profit off of the items they sell. As a result, they had to raise their prices on those apps, but not with Jubsy.
When we found out that 5% was going to a local charity, we thought that was a great idea, and we thought that we wanted to do something for the community.
Some days, Majeli Galevsky says they would get up to 10 orders from the app, but in recent months, they were down to about 1.
If they can come back, I would really, really like to see that particular app come back, not just for business-wise, but to help our community.
Jennifer Lagrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
The Windsor-Essex County Health Unit has released its COVID-19 data today. It says the virus has remained relatively stable in the community in recent weeks. To date, 710 people have died due to COVID-19 in our region. There was a spike detected in the wastewater on December 1st, but overall, the rates look similar to November's data. The health unit does say that environmental factors can affect sampling, resulting in short-term variations, which may explain that spike. Meanwhile, Ontario's acute care enhanced surveillance has Windsor Essex in an elevated level for all age groups for respiratory activity. The database shows the 7-day range average for respiratory health emergency department visits fell from last week, which appears to be at its peak for the region. And the province is moving to allow pharmacists to prescribe Paxlovid. That's the antiviral drug used to fight COVID-19.
By increasing access to these treatments in more convenient ways, we are helping to keep people healthier and reduce COVID-19 related hospitalizations.
Pharmacists who opt in will be able to start writing prescriptions for Paxlovid starting Monday. Currently, about 4,000 pharmacies in the province already dispense the medication. Most are expected to take on the added responsibility. The prescriptions will come at no cost to patients. The Federal Minister of Families, Children and Social Development has introduced a promised child care bill. Karina Gould says Bill C-35 would enshrine federal responsibilities to families into law. Here's more from the minister on the bill, dubbed the Canada Early Learning and Childcare Act.
This cements our vision of childcare, and I would say Canadians' vision of childcare. This is about making sure that we are building a system. And so, a future government could make other decisions, but not that would compromise the spirit of this legislation.
Gould says that if the bill is passed, it will make it much more difficult for future governments to take away the benefit. The bill makes no specific financial promises. A Windsor organization that helps Black parents navigate the education system has launched a new campaign called It's Not Okay When You Say...
It's not okay if you say you're intelligent for a Black man. It is okay if you say you're intelligent.
It's an effort to address subtle comments that communicate some sort of bias, whether intentional or unintentional. Program manager Christy Nelson says it's about removing the excuses and showing people the correct way to approach topics, showing how microaggressions can affect other people's mental health.
There is plain ignorance where people are, because prejudice and racism are not a new thing. There are people who hold those views, but also I am aware that there's a certain percentage of people that should interact more. But it's nobody's job to babysit somebody's insecurity. It's actually it falls upon that person to open themselves up and see that the way that they're thinking is just absurd and is ignorant, and to start to learn more about people. It's easy to learn more, and the wonderful thing about being here in Canada is that it's such a cosmopolitan society, right? But to heap all of these accolades on Canada merely because it appears cosmopolitan on the surface is unfair when thinking about the broader experience of people who can't really speak up because they are made to feel that they should be grateful that they're here and not inquire about their own dignity. You see what I mean? And so I am only hopeful in that if people sit down for healthy conversations, Canada is a space that can allow that to happen in a very healthy way.
Such an important initiative. Let's take a live look outside. There we had another partly cloudy day with a chance of showers en route for tomorrow. Dahlia Asher will be here after the break with your full weather forecast. Stay with us. The Alberta government has followed through on its campaign promise. It has passed the controversial Sovereignty Act. But after a recent uproar over the allotted powers, the provision that granted Cabinet the ability to rewrite laws was taken out. That power will reside with the legislature.
They brought through the climate leadership plan, and I don't know why it is they felt that they needed to suck up to Ottawa. It's not like Ottawa is a national government. The way our country works is that we are a federation of sovereign, independent jurisdictions. They are one of those signatories to the Constitution, and the rest of us are signatories to the Constitution and have a right to exercise our sovereign powers in our own area of jurisdiction.
The federal tourism minister is an Albertan who thinks the Sovereignty Act will end up harming Alberta interests at a challenging moment.
The Alberta Sovereignty Act is not going to help one single Albertan get through this affordability crisis. It's not going to help a single business. And quite frankly, it sends a signal to the investment community that the government of Alberta is picking instability over certainty at a time of global uncertainty. I've been doing doors constantly in my riding. Nobody's asking for this act.
The amended bill means Cabinet will not have the power to bypass the legislature and rewrite laws as it sees fit, but it still claims that Alberta will, in theory, have the right to disregard federal legislation. And we have some fresh images to share of Hawaii's Mauna Loa volcano as it continues to spew gas, ashes, and lava with no end in sight. But there's some relief for motorists after scientists said there was no imminent threat to a crucial highway. There had been concern when lava started flowing toward the main roadway linking both sides of the Big Island. A shutdown would have affected access to the research observatory near the summit, home to some of the world's most advanced telescopes. Mauna Loa is the Earth's largest active volcano and towers to a height of more than 4,000 meters above sea level. It erupted back to life on November 27th after being quiet for 38 years. Dahlia Ashby joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. Dahlia, I feel like I've been saying this almost every day with weather, but it's just another gloomy, cloudy, gray day. It's a real pattern.
That's different. That's right. What I was going with that, I actually ended up saying something sooner than I wanted to. I wanted to say we're quite different than that volcano situation we just saw. A little bit chilly, a little bit gloomy, but we're sitting where we're supposed to be with those seasonal temperatures. For this time of year, for December, a little bit of windy conditions are expected over the next few days. We're going to be nearing that freezing mark tonight. But like I said, we're sitting around seasonal temperatures. Usually the normal high is 2 degrees and today's high is 5. Usually the normal low is -4 and today is 3. So even a little bit warmer than expected in spite of those gloomy conditions, Katarina, that you were just mentioning. 2 degrees currently in Toronto. Temperature is starting to dip a little bit, and we'll talk about just how much colder it's going to get tonight. A little bit cooler out in Goderich. It's already 0 degrees out there. Now, it is going to be windy over the next few days, which I did mention, which we'll get into that a little bit later. Out here in Windsor, southwestern Ontario, we are expecting some flurries, a little bit of snow, but especially when we're talking about Sunday. If you don't have your winter tires, I urge you to get it today, tomorrow if you can, because Sunday we're expecting a mixture of rain and snow. So that means some slippery conditions on the road, something to just be cautious of. Now, in terms of the windy conditions, winds will be gusting up to 28 kilometers an hour tomorrow. As we approach Saturday and Sunday, we could see winds gusting up to 46 kilometers an hour. So quite a windy one, especially when we're talking about Sunday as well with that mixture of rain and snow. So might want to bundle up over when we get closer to Sunday. There is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel though. Tonight though, temperatures will drop. Like I said, it's going to be -2 in Windsor, a little bit cooler in other areas like London, -4. Trending, we're seeing daytime highs hovering between 5 degrees and 4 degrees over the next few days. It's really trending over the next few evenings. We're nearing that freezing mark, so -3. And like I said, Sunday, we have that mixture of rain and snow. So you might want to bundle up, have those winter tires. And like I said, Katarina, it's that time of the year. It's December.
Exactly. Appreciate that, Dahlia. Thank you.
Thanks, Katarina.
When we come back, a Russian prisoner released in a swap with the United States. Stay with us.
Listen.
In international news, Iran has executed a man arrested in one of the current turmoil's earliest protests. He was accused of injuring a security officer with a knife and blocking a street. The incident was just days after Mahsa Amini's death. Mohsen Shekari's execution is the first stemming from the subsequent uprising. Rights groups suspect he was tortured before confessing. Amnesty International says 20 others could face death sentences in what it's calling sham trials. After nearly 10 months in Russian custody, American basketball star Brittany Griner has been released. It came in a prisoner swap between Moscow and Washington. The CBC's Magda Gabrisalesa has the story.
Brittany Griner is safe and in good spirits and on her way home. That is what President Joe Biden shared today after he spoke to her on the phone. The White House released a picture capturing that moment. That's Griner's wife in red. U.S. officials have always maintained that Griner was being wrongfully detained in Russia on drug charges and committed to trying to get her out. It took agreeing to a prisoner swap for Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout.
This is a day we've worked toward for a long time. We never stopped pushing for her release. It took painstaking and intense negotiations, and I want to thank all the hard-working public servants across my administration who worked tirelessly to secure her release.
Griner's wife, Sherelle, said today her family is whole again.
Thank you, everybody, for your support. And today is just a happy day for me and my family, so I'm going to smile right now.
While Griner is now free, U.S.-Canadian citizen Paul Whelan is still behind bars in Russia. He was arrested almost 4 years ago, accused of spying. Today is the second time in less than a year that the U.S. has agreed to a prisoner swap that didn't include him. Last April, it was to bring Trevor Reed home. Now it's Griner. On the phone with CNN in an exclusive interview today, Whelan said he was disappointed that more hasn't been done to secure his release.
He was arrested for a crime that never occurred. I'm happy that Brittany is going home today and that Trevor went home when he did. But I don't understand why I'm still sitting here. My bags are packed. I'm ready to go home. I just need an airplane to come and get me.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken was asked about that. He said this wasn't a choice between which American to bring home.
The choice was one or none. I wholeheartedly wish that we could have brought Paul home today on the same plane as Brittany, just as at the time I wish we could have brought Brittany and Paul home when we secured the release of Trevor Reed back in April. But we will stay at it.
He and the president say they're not giving up on bringing Paul Whelan home like they did for Griner today. Magda Gabrisalesa, CBC News, Washington.
Canadian superstar Celine Dion has revealed she's suffering from a rare neurological disorder that's impacting every aspect of her life.
Recently, have been diagnosed with a very rare neurological disorder called stiff person syndrome.
The condition causes sudden severe muscle spasms, and Dion says it interferes with her ability to walk and sing. Stiff person syndrome affects only about 1 to 2 people in a million. The Quebec-born singer says it's been difficult to face her health struggles and speak openly about them. It's forced the cancellation and postponement of a string of European concert tour dates early next year, but she hopes to return to the stage by August. I'm sure many of us can relate to what we're about to show you. Sully, a 4-year-old cockapoo from Edmonton, is finding new purpose in life in his work. Sully needed help dealing with his separation anxiety. So his owner reached out on social media to ask if anyone wanted to bring him to their workplace. And Sully received a few offers from local businesses and eventually found a job in a new office. And now he goes to work 2 days a week wearing his best outfit and has never been more fulfilled. That just warms my heart. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also find all of our information about Sounds of the Season there and how to donate to local food banks. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching, and good night.